7:06, so we will call this meeting to order. I'd like to thank Chris Holt for coming. She's a guest for us right now, and she's trying very hard to get onto this committee. I believe that they are going to consider your appointment at the July 16th select board meeting. So hopefully after that you'll become official. So, and just in full disclosure, I've already told Chris this, but we are going into executive session at the end of the meeting to review scholarships. So at that point, Chris will have to leave just because you're not officially a trustee yet. So.
Do we have to vote for Chris before we send it to the selectmen?
Nope, you just do an appointment form. So Nate sent me an email asking if I wanted Chris to be to be considered, and I said yes, please. So
it's pretty informal, huh?
So.
Very exclusive group.
I thought maybe it would be a blackball thing that I haven't heard.
No.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of the process of you submit it, and then it goes to the select board for the official appointment, and then once they agree to that, then you are notified that you are now part of the trustees. So.
And then you have to get sworn in.
Yeah, then you get sworn in, please.
So I'm not official until.
Then you go see Melanie.
You've been sworn in, right?
Yeah. Then you go see Mel, and she'll swear you in. So.
Okay.
That's town clerk's office. It takes 2 minutes, so very easy.
Is there a Wi-Fi password in here?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's Hub 1767, I think, and I think it's a capital H.
So with that, can we start with the director's report?
Yes. All right. Director's report for July 11th, 2024. We had 0 curbside pickups, 438 patrons, 4 classes with 4 visits, total of 90 students. Storytime attendees, we had 38 adults, 63 children, with a total attendees of 101. We had 9 events in June for Storytime. For Dungeons & Dragons, we had 2 events with a total of 10 attendees. Volunteers, we had 4 with 7 visits and a total of 18 hours for the month. Not Just Knitting had 0 events. We issued 5 new cards. Facebook page reach in June was 1,941. Facebook total page likes was 881. Page followers is still 1,000. Facebook page visits, 453. Instagram page reach in June was 25. Instagram followers for June was 164. And Instagram profile visits was 11. The most popular Facebook posts, number 1 was Saturday Storytime and Crickets, with 713. And number 2 was Miss Trish's Annual Town Meeting Storytime, 706. We had 56 Wi-Fi connections and 483 website visits in June. Library numbers. Hubbardston items circulated regardless of location was 1,080. All items circulated at Hubbardston regardless of ownership, 1,161. Requested holds in June was 167. Total number of patrons registered at Hubbardston is 1,452. Total number of items is 11,519. Overdrive monthly checkouts for June was 588. Holds on Overdrive, we had e-audio 120, ebook 187 for a total of 307 holds. The library was closed on Wednesday, June 19th in honor of Juneteenth. The Senior Book Club met on June 26th, 2024 at 11 a.m. to discuss The Murder List by Hank Philippi Ryan. There were 4 in attendance. The July choice is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. The meeting will occur on Wednesday, July 24th at 11 a.m. at the Senior Center in the Slade Building at 7 Main Street. On Tuesday, June 18th, Ed the Wizard offered his program, Reading is Magic. There were 3 in attendance. The display for the Adult and Children's Reading Room for June celebrated LBGTQ+ Pride Month. The displays for July are about being outdoors. The library will close early on July 3rd at 2 p.m. and will be closed July 4th in celebration of Independence Day. Respectfully submitted by Christine Barbera. The numbers are not updated. I have not received the final year-end report from the town accountant. And then there was the final page, which tells us which pages were visited the most by people for our website. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. I can go through it if you want.
It's pretty cool.
Yes, go through it, or?
You can give the highlights.
Okay.
I mean, like, you know.
All right, well, let's see. The top 5 ones we have was the main page, the Hubbardston Public Library, followed by museum passes, the annual 5K Library Road Race, hours and directions, and get the CW Mars mobile app for the Hubbardston Public Library were the top 5.
Great, that's cool that we have that data. Just to note that I did make a change to the agenda because I had
saw
the
that.
June director's report in there. I get confused on the reports. Like,
So we
we're
should
doing
call
in
this July,
I did just change it to July.
the link, but not the words have to change. Or you change it on the agenda.
I changed it on the agenda.
Okay, let me copy it
All right,
and
well-
put it in the minutes.
And
So my question is the report is about the month of June, despite the fact that, you know, the date
Right.
of the thing is.
yeah, and I think what I did was I grabbed the June report,
Okay.
thinking it was the June report and not the, so.
But
anyway,
I
I did
wonder,
change.
should we change the title? I mean,
You want me to make it the director's report for June 2024 instead of the date?
Yes.
yeah, because it is confusing.
Can I request an update for Ed the Wizard numbers? There were 4 in attendance.
Oh, there were 4? I'm sorry, I had
good.
3. I don't know why I put 3 down. Let me find a pen. And we'll correct that.
Related to the library numbers, Chris has been adding them to a spreadsheet, and so we have that access to that to make nice graphs to show, different totals about the library. But she's also going to add the different programs. Like they're in the narrative, some of them, but we're going to have them as numbers too, so we'll be able to track them. Like, not just knitting has consistent, 4 or 5 people every time, which is pretty good, and it's hard to know that unless we have, we have the numbers, so.
Great. Any questions about the report?
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
All right. Approval of meeting minutes for June, which are correctly linked in the agenda. So, did anybody have any changes to recommend?
I didn't print them out. I don't think I did, but I'm trying to remember. Did you have any comments for the minutes?
Only that a couple items were pursued. But we can take them up.
You mean you followed up on?
Isn't that pretty astonishing?
No, I just meant, like, you're going to report on it now, tonight.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's
So, are you talking about like foundation?
foundation and the money in the funds.
Great.
Oh, part-time, perfect.
No, I wasn't doubting that you did that. I just wondered if it needed to be changed in the
I'm
minutes.
pulling it
That's
out.
all.
Okay, so we'll hit that in. Actually, if you want to get, because I don't have that as an agenda item, so if you want to do a follow-up to
Well,
the
only
minutes
that-
for the trust or for the funds,
The trust,
we can do that.
there was a question about principal and interest. And I dug back into, this is the latest information I have, a 2017 summary.
I'm not getting it.
And if you get the
I'm not getting it.
reports from the trustee, in the old days it was Bartholomew out of Worcester, and today I think it's Unibank. And so if we get the report, we'll see it. But they very clearly state the initial principal, the interest it gained, and then the grand totals. So I did not go after Unibank's report, but I think we're reporting it properly in here, and I'll verify that with Unibank.
So you reviewed a 2018 report.
2017.
2017 from
That was all I had in my
Bartholomew.
attic.
And so
These numbers appear to be principal plus interest.
to verify that the monthly report numbers show both, like the total
I believe it's the combined total.
show, oh, okay. So there's no extra money lying around. Of
And
principal
that'll be confirmed with getting the
and,
report from Unibank.
okay. So you're gonna follow up with that?
Yep.
Get them
Could
out.
our town accountant give us that? Does she have, I mean, how is she putting these numbers in?
Good question. I can find out from
No,
them.
what you want is Unibank's annual report.
Okay.
They probably did it June 30,
All right.
the town's fiscal year. I can get that. I mean, I just haven't yet.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. I just was wondering if Kelly had it, like if she was updating these monthly, then she might have it, you know, or have access to it as well. But go for it, for sure. All right, can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes for June 2024?
I make a motion to approve the June minutes with the updates with regards to the trusts, I guess.
And I have a second, Tom second. Can I say all in favor? All opposed? It's 5-0-0.
So, do we have to put something in about this update? That isn't really related to the
No.
minutes,
Not to the
right?
minutes, maybe
Okay,
it might
okay.
be something that we just add into the minutes,
minutes, I get
like
it,
further
okay.
down, like update on,
Okay,
and I didn't put it as an agenda item, but it can go under, items not reasonably anticipated by chair,
yeah.
I think, so.
And you guys were having trouble with something?
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
I could get access to those documents, which
I
has
could
nothing to
too.
do with what Tom was talking about, but I think when we get to the chart of things, it would be nice to have it. But I couldn't figure out which,
The chart of things, chart of,
goals
No.
and strategies and all that, and all that, but I don't know which of
We can look
the,
in the other
The
room.
Wi-Fi?
which of the Wi-Fis and what the, I've got a selection here.
Yeah.
Which one should I use?
Town Wi-Fi.
Town Wi-Fi, okay. And what's the password? Is
I
that
don't
the
know
hub?
if this should be stricken from.
Oh,
or
sorry.
if we should go
Maybe
into
just write it down
executive.
so nobody hears it, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't write it down.
Here, just write it down so nobody
I
hears it,
don't, I don't actually know.
I think Chris is looking for it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. The connection is town Wi-Fi, and that's the password.
Thanks for doing it.
well, we'll see. This is old info.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've had a few good years between then and now.
Not in this business. It's not invested as you would your own.
Okay, thank you.
Are y'all able to connect?
Well, I was. How about you? Chris? Okay.
I had read them at home.
I read them as well, but I thought with the charts coming up, it would be better to be able to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't remember everything.
Yeah, we would have projected onto a screen in Slade, but
Oh,
We'll make do
right.
with
Oh, I
what
never
we-
even thought of that. Sorry.
we'll make this work. So, all right, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time tonight having us thinking about the goals and priorities for the strategic plan. Thank you to Krista, and I think Morgan, you helped with the chart comparing the strategic plan goals and objectives from our previous plan with some of our strategic initiatives that we identified through our SWOT and our SOAR analysis. So with our SWOT and SOAR analysis, there were kind of like 5 big buckets that kind of came up. And they were, sorry, let me just grab my, expand programming and collaborations, promotion and communication, building accessibility in interior space, staffing, and library collections. So those were kind of after, like, we did that SWOT and SOAR, those were kind of the 5 themes that kind of came out of it. And it feels like they are each unique enough that they could potentially be the goals rewritten in a way, but the concepts could be the goals. Does that feel okay with everybody?
I'm comfortable with those.
Is that from the chart?
It's not from the chart. It's from, I took that from the May meeting minutes.
Right.
So this was those things were what we kind of identified.
Okay. That's where I took it from also, but in another location there was preservation, which didn't show up here.
Okay, so we can certainly add preservation.
So, yeah, we could do that. I think it would be good.
And we're talking about like this preservation of
ensuring the safekeeping of materials and possibly digitization of historical materials.
Okay.
So if you looked at this chart before this morning, it only had those things that Connie just read, but then this morning Morgan and I were looking at it again in relation to the policies and goals sort of, and so we added this very first section looks a little different now than it did before, but it's basically the same. We probably shouldn't have gotten rid of the other one. Let me just type.
What do you mean?
The ones that you just read. That's what was in there before.
So what we ended up doing, we took from, I believe, I'm trying to remember if it was April or May when we had the survey and we did the trustee follow-up with regards to surveys to identify the priorities. And we came up with that grid, and there were some sentences. So really the only thing that we did is we took the sentences and copied them, but the same wording.
Yeah.
For the headers, what was there this morning was like, you wanted like
just the short list that you just read. Yeah.
Was one, and then in the Excel we had like a summary with a sentence. So there was like a summary there, and I think that's where preservation was listed from the Excel that yourself, Chris, myself, we had up on projected, and then we did the whiteboards. So that's where that came in, and we had a summary of those priorities. And I think the only thing that had changed is we turned it into that chart for the select board meeting of like what are our top priorities of what can we kind of attain. So the only thing that we changed really was incorporation of those sentences back into the headers.
Okay. So if we're looking at this chart on the front page, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items listed. And so we feel that those 7 items could be our goals.
We could. So this is kind of pulling from, that's pulling from that May meeting, not necessarily the streamline. So if we want to go back to the expanded goals, or do we want to go with the goals that we presented to the select board that we kind of narrowed down? That would be my discussion and question.
I think also we had accessibility and like interior space were to combine, like, these
Yep.
don't have to be
So the
7 separate things necessarily.
So the goals on that comparison are the one step prior to the one that's in your hand, is what I'm saying.
Right. I feel like what's on the chart fit better into goals. Because driving factors are like the external factors that we kind of get there, and how we get there is a little bit of goals, but a lot of them feel like more like strategies as well. The only thing I would suggest is that the first bullet point, increased use and visibility of the library. I feel like all of the things that come below it
Or how,
is how it's done,
exactly.
right? So I don't know that I necessarily would have this first bullet point as a goal, but it's kind of like the overarching.
And I think that's
idea.
exactly what kind of drove.
So, yeah, so like, so I would say like these, like
Mhm.
these would almost be like the indent bullet points for it, on how we increase use and visibility.
I guess, in the previous plan, the goal 1 was Hubbardson Library serves as the heart of the community through its relationships with local community organizations and citizens.
Right. So that's collaborations.
Yeah. But I guess I thought the increased use and visibility of the library could kind of replace that. But I guess I understand what you're saying. It's not really a separate goal. I understand.
I mean,
what you're saying.
and that's just my take. I mean,
No, I understand.
whatever.
What you're
I mean, that to me that feels like that's
The
the
large
mega,
umbrella.
that's the mega goal.
saying. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I get it.
And that if you have good programming, you're going to increase use and visibility of the library. If you have good collaborations, you'll increase use and visibility.
And
If you have better,
collections.
if you have
yeah.
better promotion, it'll increase, like, and then so forth.
Okay.
So, on the second page, there are 3 more of those.
Lifelong learning, staffing, and library collections. Whew. Okay.
So underneath that first box is what we had before. So if we want to just work with those, I think it's fine, because I think it has all of the same components. I mean, lifelong learning doesn't necessarily have to be a separate goal. It's really related to.
I think
Yeah,
that
the
I think
goals.
lifelong learning falls under collections and programming
Yeah.
as well.
I guess we just were trying to make sure everything was in there, and then we can move on from that.
Well, how would you guys like to proceed on this?
Who's our audience for this document?
I'm sorry?
Who's our, who's our audience for this document?
So it's a couple of things. One is like our guiding document,
Yeah, it's really
right?
us.
So it's for the trustees, but it's also a public-facing document for the community so that they understand where we are trying to move in as well. So it kind of serves as a roadmap for us, but also kind of lets people know kind of what we're thinking. And then we also submit it to the MBLC, but I think that's just more formality. And they don't sit there and review it and comment on it. It's just more a matter of submitting.
But Chris reports on it on
Yes.
her on how what we're doing relating to this every year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but again, it's not a, oh, you're not fulfilling your strategic plan. It's, what are you doing with your strategic plan? I mean, did you just make it and then throw it in the drawer and leave it alone for 5 years, or is it an active living document for you? I think they just want to make sure that we're actually trying to do stuff as opposed to just go with the flow.
I would not like to see narrow goals. I like broad goals, and I like goals that don't sunset. In other words, they're oriented towards achieving. Continuous improvement.
Yes.
So as a reminder of where we're at with regards to the timeline, we're then taking kind of these ideas and goals and we're starting to draft. What I was curious is, are we going to come together and are we starting that draft together tonight, being July? Or are we going to form off a subgroup to do so?
I think it would be helpful to form off a subgroup. I think what I'm hoping for tonight is we can kind of finalize like what at least the concepts of the goals are. Is it like these 7 or 8, or is it going to be something more narrow? And then maybe start brainstorming some objectives of ways we're going to achieve that goal. And then that can be later formulated into, written out and kind of, polished a little bit. I think writing by committee is hard. So I think really tonight's just to get some ideas of what, like, we are talking about, if programming does become a goal, like, what are some of the objectives? Like, how might we improve or maintain programming? And then those would become objectives. And then we could or we could not have strategies. I looked at the NBLC requirements. They only require that we submit goals, and that, objectives and strategies are nice, because they kind of help give you the roadmap. But I would say, in reviewing our plan from before, a lot of the strategies we had were so precise, right?
Exactly.
And I think we need to not have them be as precise.
Exactly.
So one way we could do that is, I was looking at Pittsburgh State's strategic plan, and it has goals, it has strategies, and then it just has bullet points for potential action that could be done. I'm sorry, I thought I printed it out, but I guess I did not.
Goals, objectives, and potential activities.
Yeah, like action, just like, activities or actions that would not have timelines tied to them. It's just like, what might those actions be that we would do to improve adult programming, if that's an objective, right? So.
Yeah, because the previous ones were like, host at least 2 activities on the library lawn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, maybe we'll do that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that.
Or if we say something else around the time frame of holding at least 2 programs a month on that type of basis, to where it's not specific of location, the lawn, right? Especially with the road construction, things like that.
Or like
weather.
What type? It does have to be an adult program or a children's program. Like, it's just the idea of like, let's do 2 programs, right, or something. So, yeah. So this 2019 to 2024 plan was like kind of first attempt, and looking back at it, lots of things that could have been changed and improved.
So going off of some of the goals that we've already discussed in previous months, and one of the first ones was event programming, which we just mentioned. So collaborations and events together have been tossed together as often, like working with the cultural council, but with the library, Greg Maycheck and things like that. Or would it be considered with senior center and book collaborations? So I often would see that it's still a collaboration, but also events, and keeping those together.
Yeah. Is there any collaborations that can happen that are not around programming? Is there anything? I can't think of anything at the moment. But is that something where? Well, a reason why we would want to break collaborations independently?
Collaborations outside of specific programming of. I don't know if the donations of laptops to the library would work as far as a reverse collaboration of somebody working with and gifting to the library, but I would almost see that as kind of awareness of what we do and giving back to the library, so that awareness of public.
How would you classify scholarship? It's not really a collaboration. We didn't go to the school, we went to them individual.
We have reached out to the schools though, and we do have a working
only-
relationship with the schools.
Oh,
So in a way we are. And some of them, Quabbin reached out to us before I said that we were ready with our new scholarship form. But all of them have us on our list, and they kind of know, and they were excited about the updates, but they also are familiar with our prior notices of scholarships. So we do have a relationship with the high schools.
It's kind of like, is that like, would that fit under outreach? I mean, is
Do
that
we have outreach?
not specifically? We could say programs.
I'm not sure
Collaborations
exactly
and
what we're
outreach.
looking on the bullet point of increase in diverse marketing and promotion, but promoting the
Yeah.
library through scholarships.
Yeah.
So potential of
Increase
scholarship
in
under
diversify
that.
marketing. Yeah, so that's outreach. But maybe is the goal outreach and then the objective is to increase and diversify marketing and promotion?
I would see that increased diversity in marketing and promotion as being one of the strategies to expand programs and collaborations. There's also more collaborations with towns and local organizations. I see that as a specific goal and strategy underneath collaborations of identifying town and local organizations specifically within it, because we could also do much broader. I'm trying to think of it, but another collaboration that the library often is asked for is if we can have and share space in the lobby for project, is it 351, where a student is identified and they do like the clothing drives or pajama drives and things like that.
Yep, the National Honor Society does that. Girl Scouts do that. So that's a collaboration. The Girl Scouts
Yeah.
and Boy Scout help with trick or treating. When we do that, they help pass out the candy. Oh, my goodness gracious! Judy O'Donnell and she asked for permission to put CERT, or if not CERT, but like
Medical
emergency-
reserve.
medical reserve stuff on one of
Yes,
our
sir.
display
Yeah.
shelves, sections, which I was absolutely great about, So, I mean, there are collaborations that are not necessarily program oriented, but a lot of the program collaborations, like the bring a dump truck to the library or bring a llama to the library, those are definitely story time oriented. So it's
I don't want in our strategic plan though to like, again, pigeonhole ourselves as saying like these specific things that we've done, but keeping those in mind in the spirit of those, and as other opportunities come up, keeping in line. So I almost like the line of more collaboration with town and local organizations. I don't even know that we need to be that specific, but keeping in the spirit of working with those organizations. And again, I don't know how to specifically draft it, but I don't want to say we will, because often it's dependent on volunteers and other organizations saying that they have an interest in working with and being there to pass out candy or have information to share and things like that.
Also collaboration with other libraries.
The poetry walks and nature program that
at the Harvard
whatever
Forest.
the Harvard Forest, yes.
Yeah, Sam from OCAM was the driving force for that. I believe that she has since moved on, but I can certainly try to reach out to the other.
But just in the spirit of that, similar things as things come up, and I think that really highlights. It really depends on who's the driving force,
Right.
and are they around in their position, and if they're not, we can't force it.
Right. But we can reach out to them.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go further than that, then
And
Yeah.
other opportunities might come
So
up.
is it something like the Hubbardston Public Library will explore, like the formation of relationships with local communities and its citizens, local communities, libraries, and citizens?
I think so.
Is it, I'm rewording a little bit the goal one from the previous plan, like taking out
Hubbardston
Yeah.
Public Library will explore collaborations with
local community organizations, local public libraries, and its citizens? Something like that, residents or something like that?
Maybe individuals.
Individuals, yeah. Is that getting at what you're kind of, like, broad enough that it's,
I think that's
and
a
it's, we
broad-
have the will explore, so it's not saying, like, to your point, like, if someone doesn't want to partner with us.
We're not
like,
going
we
to
can't-
force them.
We can't, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so going back to like the main categories, trustees vibe of feeling, do we want collaborations to be one goal? And do we want to have collaborations separate from programming? Because it feels like the wording is evolving to have collaborations as a goal of itself, which I feel is natural and right. And then programming could have a similar goal worded on its own, standalone. So if everybody's comfortable with that, I would propose that personally.
I would propose separating them too, I feel like. I feel like there's collaborations that can pop up. Like, for example...
Independent of programming.
Right, like, you know, the collaboration you have with the center school, to have the kids come in, like, I wouldn't say that's programming necessarily,
You're right.
you know, I mean, it's good, but it's like a collaboration that, a partnership that you formed with them, to have them come to the library.
And I think just beyond, and to me, it doesn't really matter what order that we put the goals in. That really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
So if we're comfortable with collaborations being a goal, if programming would be like the next on my mind as far as programming, and again, keeping a very open mind with regards to the wording and getting your input on that of, I would personally just like to see our library continue to expand on our program offerings. And I would like to almost leave it like that, because it could go and we could see different times, especially where this is like a 5-year plan. There may be years to where we're drawn to supporting more, and there's greater collaboration with like the senior center, and then story time is just taking off crazy. But if there's a COVID situation or something else happens to where just certain programming cannot take place as it has, we have to just go with it organically.
Right.
So I don't want to say we're going to expand programming across the board and specifically target toddlers. I want it to be just
Right.
open.
So, so this, we have, the Hubbardston Public Library provides cultural, educational, engaging, and relevant programming. And that was a goal from our past plan.
Do we want to just say, like, because one of the issues that came up was we have good story time right now, but we don't necessarily have, we're trying to reach other age groups, so is there a way to fit that in there somehow?
I think underneath
that
our
too-
strategy.
That would be a
Okay.
strategy, I think.
Okay, so we're keeping that same goal?
I mean, do you guys like that wording or not?
I do.
Like, and you guys need to check me as well, because I was one of the architects of this plan, so like some of the wording, like I'm just aware of it, so if this
No,
wording
but
doesn't work.
As Krista had said, I think once we get to the next level of adding the strategies underneath, this is where we can then add our next twist for the next 5 years.
Yep.
But as far as a goal, I'm very comfortable with that wording.
Chris, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling okay.
Well, I mean, because you are going to be one of the prime executors of,
And
these
I
goals
understand
and
that,
strategies.
and
So,
I'm very
yeah, we don't
blessed
need
that
to
I've
be-
got Ann and Tricia to help me with this, because Tricia's very much a go-getter. So yeah, I can.
Because we also want to make sure this is something that feels like it's manageable, and that
When I
Like,
start hyperventilating,
when you
then
when you
can
start to
worry.
see this, I don't want you to be like, like I want you to be like,
No.
yeah, no, this is cool, and I want you to, like, to be excited about it.
Yep.
Right? Like, this is gonna be,
Cool. I can do that.
so, don't, I mean, I want you to feel it.
Could we say to support literacy and lifelong learning at the
Yeah,
end of that?
yeah, for sure.
Because I think that would be good.
Yeah, so the Hubbardston Public Library provides cultural, educational, engaging, and relevant programming to support lifelong learning.
Literacy and lifelong learning, or just?
Well, I would almost leave the learning, because I think some of that wording I would like to twist and tweak the prior goal 3, which is with regards to our collections, because I feel like collections are going to be one of our goals. And I do feel as though we could tweak the wording on goal 3 that was for collections in our 2019-2024 strategic plan. But I like the idea of having collections be part of one of our primary goals. The current wording of our last one was Hubbardston Public Library collects, print, online, and digital materials that reflect the reading preferences of our community members. And I almost feel like we could stretch ourselves rather than saying that we're gathering materials that reflect the reading preferences.
Maybe that's
I would like to tweak that.
I like that, because instead of saying preferences is like so reactive, right? And while we want to be reactive, we also kind of want to like,
So, Chris, when you're managing our collections, is there a mindset, an overarching goal that you have in mind when doing so?
I follow our collection development policy, so I look at book list and see what their reviews are. I look at the number of holds that are on CW Mars, because that's
Really
an
great
indicator that
indicator.
somebody wants the book or movie. I also, and I haven't done it lately, but I do have on the front page of the website, is there something you're looking for? Click here and tell me what it is. And I got to remind people on Facebook and Instagram that is also something that they can do.
Yeah.
So,
I
but that's really how I do it.
I look at Connie because you are wonderful with words. But I think that part of the wording that I hear and I've always respected with regards to our library of how you strive to bring in materials that we want. So as much as it is our reading preferences, but it is kind of like answering a need within the community.
Yep.
In that regard. You have thoughts?
It just seems the reverse. Wouldn't your collection selection be based on what you feel is good and helpful rather than what the... Do you go by the data of with, books, movies that are signed out to determine a preference? In other words, could this be broader and better?
What I strive to do is I strive to get the books that are popular with people.
Generally. not
Generally.
With our
But-
constituents.
But I also, actually, it's interesting. The books, the number of times that I get a new book and then it immediately goes onto the hold shelf for one of our patrons is I suppose I could figure out what that actual response is, but it tends to, we put it on the shelf and then we take it right off the shelf and put it on the hold shelf for one of our patrons to get. I also try to keep a mind open about interesting topics or current topics and try to get two sides at least of what the ongoing topic is, because we are a diverse community as far as issues. There you go. So yeah, that's what I tend to do. The problem is that if they don't tell me what they want, it's my best guess. I've got
Underneath collection strategies, jumping to a strategy, one of the things we may want to promote more actively is our collection request forms.
Okay.
So that might be one of our strategies. I just feel as though we could tweak the wording on how we do that when drafting the response.
We do have a collection development policy, so maybe we could get some wording from that.
Yeah.
Because I think Chris does respond to people's preferences, but we also bring in
Correct.
things that people wouldn't know about
Right.
otherwise.
Correct.
So how do we say that? The purpose of the Hubbardson Public Library collection is to provide a range of high-quality materials to support the informational, recreational, educational, advancement, personal development, and enrichment needs of the Hubbardson residents. So that's a mouthful.
Wonderful and lofty, but wordy.
Maybe enrich or something. I don't know. Something more, less passive, I guess.
Yeah, you want a balance between the
Yeah.
responding and then also being like, we're actually aware of what the emerging trends are, and we're going to bring that to you,
Yeah.
right? Is that kind of what?
That's what I would aspire to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like all of a sudden you find something that is like a hot new topic or a new trend, a new activity, and you buy a book on it, and people haven't even thought about it yet.
So-
like generative AI would be a good example. Like people might not be thinking about it. You might have some books on it, and like, oh, then what is that? So kind of
Beyond just simply doing the reading preferences and what is through our collection, of bringing in also balanced and diverse collection
Yep.
of material, I think would be useful.
Like enriching or something. Enrichment. I just read that thing, but I don't remember what it said. Let's see.
responsive. I feel like I'm seeing 3 strategies coming out: balanced and diverse collections, responding, and then like the emerging thing.
Yeah.
Right? So those would be the strategies. If you can come up with a sentence that kind of encompasses that.
Balanced and diverse collection.
Responsive, like responding to community preferences,
Okay.
and then kind of like the cutting edge idea,
Emerging trends.
emerging trends, yeah.
Something.
And we can, wordsmith it all out.
Yeah,
Sorry, talk
yeah.
about that.
And underlying that is by age category. It's kind of a matrix.
Yep.
Okay. So, this is not a complete sentence, but I wrote down Hubbardson Public Library collects print. I don't think we need print, online, and digital. So print and digital materials that reflect the reading preferences of our community members and provide a balanced and diverse collection. Or maybe instead of the reading preferences, say, collect materials that provide a balanced and diverse collection and respond to community preferences and emerging trends, something like that. Anyway, it doesn't.
Yeah,
the
I think
syntax is
yeah, I
bad.
think it's. I think
I think
The
if we get the
concept's there.
skeleton of
Yep.
it in the framework, then the subcommittee can take it and wordsmith
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Okay.
And then potential strategies out there. underneath
Exactly.
That would be
The 3 strategies would
that
be,
you had outlined.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Have we already addressed programming as a goal? I can't remember if we,
I think we started. I think we
Started.
jumped because wasn't that goal 2?
Yeah, the first one, it just says expand collaborations, and then under that, we will explore.
so collaboration is 1, and then
Okay.
goal 2 is
Hubbardson Public Library
programming.
provides cultural, educational, engaging, and relevant programming to support lifelong learning. That's what I have written down. And I think what we were talking about before was to maintain the story time, and as we can, expand to include programming for other ages, children of other ages.
Right. And so I think those would be the strategies underneath it.
Exactly.
And adult
Yep.
programs as well. Okay.
And so I think that in a nutshell is programming
Mhm.
with the strategies identified right there.
Maintain children's,
Grow other
grow others.
grow other all groups.
Yeah.
I almost even say, I mean, I feel like we've done a really good job with some adults, but expanding that in between children tween. We
I
have
guess
some
it's just
senior,
older
but
children.
still expanding on all.
Yeah. And those will be kind of the separate ones, separate strategies underneath it.
The next thing is promotion and communication.
I don't know that. If within communication, one of the things that we have talked about as our goals of striving to address, I would say, emerging trends, social media of different ways, and getting the volunteers. We've already, towards the end of the last strategic plan and currently, increased foot traffic on Instagram, Facebook, with all the posts, a page going around to different museums, things like that. I'm not well versed or creative enough to say what else could we be doing, but maybe there's more that we could do on that end. I don't know. And so I'm a little bit hesitant to have a specific strategy or, again, put us into a position that's kind of unachievable.
So if we're talking about, so maybe like a strategy could be like continue to explore online promotion of library resources and materials. That could be a strategy, and then underneath that some actions could be like a social media, like if we got a Quabbin High School student who all of a sudden like wanted to create some TikTok videos for us, you know, like we're not the group to do that. So you know, so that would keep it open enough, like, you know, to explore like online media promotion and whatever falls underneath that. Like just keep it general.
I'm just wondering whether promotion and communication fits with expanding collaborations.
And that's where I'm wondering if that could be, rather than a goal itself, maybe we could move promotion and communication to a strategy within collaboration.
Could be. That could go underneath there.
Because I'm trying to see how else.
Right, because communicate. I know that coming through the focus groups, there was, I think, a wide variety of opinions on how people wanted to get their information. And some people wanted a paper calendar of events, right? Some people wanted like social media. Some people wanted, you know, like they used a signage board, right? And that's what kind of what we found, like when we did the survey too. It was pretty wide how people kind of learned about library events.
I mean, I'm fine
Can
with
I put
having it
Alicia
separate.
and Chris on the spot? Like,
I'm sorry?
can I put you two on the spot and kind of ask you a question? Like, how do you learn about library events?
I show
kind
up
of-
all the time.
and
I'm
like-
probably
More
not the
online.
person to ask about online and social media and stuff because I don't do that.
Mhm.
I like the signboard, you know. You go to the post office, see across the street, see what's going on. I think that, like what Morgan was saying about getting specific people, because I was thinking about like the teenagers and the wizards, and you know, unless you ask people who are involved in those things, we can't structure it and hope they come. I don't think. I think it has to be, you know, and maybe during the school year, try to find a group. You know, maybe there's a group of teenagers that do come and get them together and see what they would like. since I'm a little out of the loop in terms of what young people might want. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to come from the groups that's going to be using it. If we just sort of hope people show up, I don't know.
Well, maybe-
I don't have a lot of young people, of that age in my life, but I can think of maybe, places where you might want to put up a questionnaire or a something, at the other businesses in the community or at the schools, or saying, what would you like, to see at this library? What would you be interested in? So that's the only real thought I had. Because I'm sure that there are a lot of, creative, people out there that would like to come and paint, or they'd like to come and, learn about gardening or something.
It'd be a great project for an internship
Yeah.
from the community college, for instance,
Exactly,
to
or
have
something
someone
like
come in
like
and
that.
with their young eyes and
Yeah.
young ears and young brains
Yeah.
bring their input, and they get credit and
Yeah, might want to choose it
participate.
type thing, or the high school.
Or maybe like either a focus group or some kind of informal group of teenagers.
Something like a teen advisory
teen
group.
advisory.
Yeah, okay.
And that they would be responsible for designing the program.
Yeah, or even just suggesting it, and we'll.
Or
the
maybe
rest of it,
and we can
but-
help them execute it. But
Yeah.
I usually go to the website to find out information about the library, although I love coming into the building. I just don't do it that often. So I go to the website, and since my interest in this committee has been created, I've looked more on the website. There's a lot there. It's pretty good. I was especially impressed with the new, well, I don't know if it is new, but the children's programming that's going on. I almost want to come. We should go.
Oh, I do.
Oh, okay.
Sophie's the guest star.
Oh, that's right.
Sophie's not going to be coming for a couple of months.
Oh,
2 or
okay.
3 months. She's laid up.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to reach all constituents in their mode of communication.
Have we ever thought of, rather than just senior book club, of having like a senior story time? And would
that's
Sophie
good.
be interested in coming to like a senior's story time?
The
Either
dog?
poetry? Yeah, why not?
Do seniors actually
That's
want to
interesting.
see
I
her?
don't know.
I mean, the kids get wild out of it.
But why not? I mean, I still like dogs.
So I'd
I
be
think
happy to
seniors
bring her,
do
but
Animals are often used in nursing home kind of setting, or a more aged group.
I'd be willing
I'm
to
just throwing it out there
volunteer
because I haven't heard it, and there might be something different.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know how big a draw she's going to be in. One thing is she is not going to be available to do anything for a good 2 or 3 months. She
Yeah.
can't.
But we're still drafting the strategic plan. So
Yeah,
this
by the
could be
time
in
we get this
future.
plan finished,
Exactly.
she should be able to come. I don't know how much of a big draw she would be, but because at that age, probably people have their own dogs. It's the toddlers that are just.
Or llamas and chickens and
Well, horses, I can probably arrange for bring some horses, but you might not want them in the building. That would be the lawn.
That's a lawn
That's a
activity.
lawn thing.
Lot of activities.
can we put a pin in the promotion and communication with a note saying it might be its own goal, but it might fit under collaborations? And then as we kind of massage it all out, we might see where it might logically
best.
fit best.
I would say if it's a stretch to come up with, and not that we have to have like 3 strategies, but if it's a stretch to expand the strategies under promotions and communication, it might be better suited under collaborations because it's kind of like one of those natural extensions.
Yep.
And it would be its own strategy within that.
Okay. Consider combining promotion and communication with collaborations, and then programs is separate now.
Yeah, programs would be separate.
I think I heard programming and collaboration and events as what? And I heard promoting and communications as how. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or maybe what it is under each goal.
The
of the
promotion
program
and communication really is one of the
a strategy
strategies.
under each goal,
I,
right?
that feels much better
Promotion
fitting.
and communication will be strategy under each goal.
Yeah, so do you have something about promotion, communication under programs, kind of under collaborations?
Or I would
Where
say
appropriate,
where
where
appropriate,
appropriate,
because
yes,
as
yeah.
I go in under interior space, I'm not sure how,
Yeah.
but maybe, hey, we have a new chair. I don't know.
Yes, where appropriate, yes.
Yes, where appropriate.
Okay, so we have some things about collaborations. We have some things about the collection, programs, and then collection, and then promotion and communication is right now
strategy.
separate, but that will be moved. Then the next thing is building accessibility and interior space.
And I think that interior space really does fit also with regards to accessibility and seeing how our interior is welcoming to all.
I'm just putting these in the minutes right now. I'm not editing that document.
Yep.
It's too hard to do all that.
Is outreach the same as collaboration?
I would see outreach as the same as collaboration, yes.
Do you like that word better?
I was looking to see if it was a separate goal, but I think they're synonymous here.
You could say expand collaborations and outreach.
But it's redundant if it's the,
I
yeah.
don't think it's necessarily redundant.
No?
I think we can put it in and see how it plays out,
What it
for sure.
turns out to be.
So we're working on the goal of accessibility. Is that correct? Is that where we are
Accessibility
in the
and
minutes?
interior space, yeah.
I still like, and I don't know if it needs to be wordsmith, our prior strategy of explore making the library more accessible to users with disabilities.
Yeah, just keep that in there.
Are we still providing curbside service?
Yes.
And stuff? So that's another thing where it does fit of promoting and collaborate or promoting and communication of providing other means such as curbside service for patrons for accessibility as a strategy. Does that make sense?
Yes, so the goal is Hubbardson Public Library
Being accessible.
is accessible.
Strategies being to explore making it more accessible, but then also promoting and communicating means of using the library, including online, digital, or that's anonymous, curbside service, etc. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Do we have, I'm trying to remember what it's called, but there's a library for the blind.
The Talking Book Library.
Yes. Do we have a
I do.
collaboration?
We do have a collaboration. Worcester Public Library has the Talking Book Library with the Perkins for the blind.
Thank you.
And they have sent me a lot of brochures and contact names and numbers. I can add that to the website for additional information. But yeah, we do have it.
I was going to say that, and even promoting audiobooks would be other means by which of accessibility and promotion of that. I think that we have worked with regards to our website. You've given us reports on what could be done better with regards to our website of readability and things like that.
And when you redid it, it's accessible.
It is
Yeah.
accessible.
Right.
All of the pictures, any picture that's
Exactly.
in there has a description to it. I had done a free assessment, and there were a couple things that were not quite right. The contrast wasn't strong enough, so I contacted Piperweb, which is the company that maintains, you know, they give us the access. I do all the work on the website, but they keep it, you know, really, I'm the end user. They're the, you know, 101 binary people, and they fixed the things that I had issues with.
So I think as we just keep ourselves aware of opportunities like that, that those would fit under the strategies.
Yes.
To exploring options for making the building more accessible, I don't know if we want to have a separate statement about looking into grants.
I think that
That was
that
in
would
the-
be exploring options.
Okay, so we could
Would
just
be
leave it like
grants.
that. Okay.
That could maybe end up, that's a strategy
More
or
specific,
could be an
uh-huh.
action, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of falls underneath it.
And then the interior space, that's also part of it, like just explore options for reconfiguring.
Do you have the strategy of promoting alternatives like audiobooks and curbside service as a strategy for
I have explore
accessibility?
options for making building more accessible, but services such as curbside and alternative media, audio, collaboration with Talking Books. Website is now accessible for screen reader.
Yeah, no, I think that's good, yeah. So, I feel like we made progress on that goal in our last plans. We increased library hours and we made the website more accessible. So, there's still building
Other things that we can
accessibility.
do, but-
Yeah, there's still plenty of things to do, but, you know, we're making progress, so.
If we keep preservation as a goal, the prior goal 6 of the 2019-2024 strategic goal was library staff and trustees are effective stewards and managers of the library building and its resources.
I think that's an important goal.
I do too. I don't know that it needs to be modified that much. The objective strategies underneath it of being good stewards of the library fiscal resources, I think, is probably our top goal. Preserving the historical nature of the library with the town center project, I don't think is applicable anymore.
Library funding, I think, is applicable. Because if
So, like, objective 3 being objective 2, or even objective 1. And we may want to add, if we are putting in promotion and communication as like a sub, I could very easily see promoting and communicating if we were to be able to digitize part of our collection and make that accessible. One, that goes into accessibility, but two, that is utilizing our resources and preserving our materials. So it kind of goes under a few different headers.
Yeah, and with promotion, communication, and being good stewards, I could also see, like, us promoting the work that's being done in the library. So,
Exactly.
going to the select board once a year, giving a state of the library update, right? You know,
Inviting the select board
Board
ambassador to our meetings and things like that.
exactly. So, I could see where that promotion.
And also providing copies of the reports that we've had. We've had that collaboration, again, collaboration with the town.
Yeah, so something in there that, and with the idea of being good stewards, it might be somehow like the idea of transparency, that the library trustees will be transparent in, you know,
Okay,
in
the
the-
maintenance of our building.
yeah, or like, you know, the building maintenance of the work that we do, so that we don't exist, like people don't wonder like what's going on, like what are we doing?
And why did they do what they did?
Why- yeah, so.
So preservation could just be a sub thing under the effective stewards,
It
maybe.
could be that, or preservation could be also under collections.
Hmm,
Yeah.
Okay. So do we have something about the interior space? Or are we? I mean,
I'm
we've
not
already
sure
made
what to say
changes. There's
about
a
it.
comfy chair in there now.
I'm not sure what to say about it enough as a goal to have multiple strategies underneath it.
Well, it was with building accessibility and
Mhm.
interiors. I mean, it was, a lot of people commented on that in the survey, but, you know, there's some realities in terms of how,
And also limitations that we have.
limitations in terms of comparing Hubbardston Library to Leominster, for example, which
Right.
some people were doing. So, I don't know, I see it
Part
here.
of me kind of like would like to have it as, I like to have it profiled, because if we do have hopes of someday getting the bottom floor vacated, that it become a library space, I would like it to show up in our strategic plan as it's something we think is important,
Okay.
just as a signaler, you know, and it could be explore, right?
Part of recent things that I could see with regards to the interior space, and it doesn't mean that we need to have 3 strategies underneath it, but if we make interior space one of the main goals, and again, I always like interconnecting them. One of the collaborations that the library had was the artist corner with the interior space and utilizing that. So I could see a strategy that we could, in theory, do now with our interior space of continued collaborations to utilize our space better. And leave it at that. It might be programming, it might be through the artist corner. It might be somebody saying, you know, we really need to move this shelf in order to make it accessible. So, but again, I do feel like we're kind of limited interiorly, and I don't want to put too many tight goals on the interior that would then make it unrealistic.
So I hear what you're saying. I just want to make sure that if we feel like we want the first floor space to eventually become ours, I think we need to signal someplace.
It's important to us.
That's important,
Explore
and the way to
option.
do that is in a plan. So,
Explore options for reconfiguring interior space, including use of other floors for the library. So-
Yeah.
Okay. You'll see this in the minutes, but I don't know, do you want to review it or?
no, I think that was good.
Were there any that we missed?
We didn't talk about staffing, and I don't know if staffing can fit in under some goals. Like when we've talked about staffing, we've talked about full-time story time leader, I think we've mentioned, and you mentioned another full-time position you would like a programming coordinator.
Yes.
So maybe staffing becomes a strategy under programming, unless you think there's other spots where you need staffing as well.
Well, at this point, programming, having somebody else handle the programming leaves me free to work on the website and social media and town reports and all that other fun
Like all the
stuff.
library director stuff.
Yes.
So.
So if I could get a programming coordinator, that would be fantastic. But yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that becomes a strategy under programming. And you know, all these are explore. I mean, like strategic plans are
Plans.
and they're, you know, kind of meant to be aspirational, but to an extent, and you know. So that got us through. So we pretty much have a clear idea of what the goals are and some of the strategies underneath them, right?
I think so. I I'm gonna listen to the video to get, there may be a few that I didn't get into. Yeah.
So with that, is anybody interested in forming a subcommittee to work on what we kind of did here and kind of putting this into a little bit more of a first draft of a plan?
I'm not opposed to it. I just feel as though my July and August are crazy.
Okay.
I'm available.
I wouldn't mind working on it too, but I also, the other thing we need to be mindful of is that we can't have more than 3 unless we want to post it as a meeting, because we can't have quorum. If we have 4 people meeting, it's quorum, and it's an official meeting and it needs to be posted. I have no problem posting an agenda item for this for this group, for more than 4 people to meet. But we just need to be aware of that, and then it's open to the public and it'll be recorded. So.
Is it for 4 or more? Or 3 or
4.
more? 4.
3 is 50%, 4 is over 50. So having said that, if somebody, I would like to work on it, but I'm also willing to step back if there's other people who would like to work on it.
It would be better for me to step back, to be quite honest, for time right now.
The way, with the Google Docs, drafts can be shared with people, continuously, or else, maybe a section. So, and I think we can't discuss what you're just saying. We can't discuss changes, but people can put in their, changes, and then, we could come when we have the meeting. We could, not finalize it, but make sure everybody's ideas are incorporated.
Are you interested in being on it, Kristen?
Yeah, I'm available. I already had my vacations.
Are you interested, Tom?
I'm kind of on overload at home.
Okay.
But I caution, the Attorney General has recognized that email collaborations can indeed be a quorum.
Good point.
Can be a what?
A quorum.
I'm sorry, I got a weird voice.
But I guess it did sound like that's what I was saying, but what I was really saying is that people could review it on their own and, but that is a good point. We shouldn't all be sending in our comments. We should
The
be,
reply all button is the danger.
Right.
Yeah.
We should be keeping a separate note of things. That is a good point, yeah.
If you want me to be a part of it, I can do that.
I think you should be a part of it.
I think this would be a good way to learn more about the committee, but I don't think I'd be that helpful. So I would probably
I don't know. I
decline at
think
this
it might be
point.
interesting to have
a new person.
a new person's perspective, because we've been doing this for a while, so I think we are slightly entrenched. So a different perspective would be welcome.
very welcome.
Well, and especially reading the whole thing and making sure, I mean, that's an important part too, not just the writing, but the,
Reviewing.
does this all match, everything we're saying, is it consistent and that kind of thing.
And, I mean, you all have had varying careers, and so you might have insights into development and crafting a plan that might make it
Or not.
or not. Yep.
And when is this due? September?
September is when we hope to vote on it as a trustee committee. It could be October if it had to be, but September. I think our goal is to have a
draft.
pretty solid, a good first draft by August meeting, and then I got final draft by September meeting. So I'm talking about time. I mean, I'm gonna guess 8 to 10 hours, maybe, over the next to meet, and because it usually is I think we do more of a working meeting, where we're probably sitting and kind of writing, and kind of talking through things, and maybe a little bit of work on the side, but I think a lot of times it happens when we're meeting, so, but there's no pressures to do it. So.
And how do you determine the timeline for meetings?
Based on
Availability.
availability.
We can use, we could do it virtually.
Yeah.
You can do it virtually or.
I mean, the discussion in person was very rich and very helpful.
But but also too, like, I guess could all come to my house after my
After it's
after it's
finished.
done. So. So, are you interested? Okay.
So Chris,
So, there.
Connie, anybody else? I mean, I can go either way too, I don't have to do it.
I really can't leave the house. I actually have to
okay.
leave now.
Okay.
Caretaker.
Yeah, so I really can't really commit to going
And then
anywhere.
Chris says, library director.
Yeah.
Is 4 too many?
Nope, she's
No.
not. Chris is ex officio, so she's not.
Trustee.
She's the
I am
library
not a-
director.
I'm a library director, so I'm not a trustee, so I'm not a voting member of the trustees, so I can
So,
participate without
It'd be a
creating.
really good 3 group. The 3 of you. Chris would be there, valuable, but she's the director. Yeah. And they're nice.
All right. In the interest of time, because it is 8:30 and we need to review scholarships.
I'm sorry, can I just leave you
Yes,
the
we
notes
can,
and
absolutely.
go
Yes,
home and
so,
make sure
yes, take care of
everybody's
your
okay?
pop.
Yeah.
I
so
had
good luck.
one real quick one as far as I didn't realize that it's July. My summer's been crazy. A disclosure of, is it too late to be a sponsor for the road race?
Nope.
As a trustee. So if the trustees don't have any objections, I would like to sponsor for my business to the road race.
Okay.
So if you guys don't have a problem with that,
No
I'm
objection.
going to fill out
No
the form.
objection?
I just keep forgetting.
Yep, that sounds
Okay.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll leave too.
You're gonna
Yeah.
need to?
So we'll
And
move to
Connie,
executive.
once I'm voted in or
I will let you,
approved,
yep,
my email will be part of the,
yes.
so you'll have my, unless you want it tonight.
It's up to you, I can take it right now, or actually,
I have it, I can forward it
all
to
right.
you.
Okay.
It
Connie
was
will
on
forward
the,
it to me, so-
it was on the agenda that I sent out, and I included her on it, so.
Dang it, sorry.
Thanks
And
for
welcome
understanding.
and thank you
Yeah.
both so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks.
Before we review scholarships, do we have any updates on building stuff? Anything about the, foundation?
Did anybody have a chance to read Nate's thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Any major objections?
No.
He more or less leaves it up to the,
And it's at the end of the next
Contractors do
week
it.
and we'll figure it out.
Oh,
I went down to Graves and got a list of all the mason contractors and foundation
guys
contractors
in
in the
that?
area.
I don't think I was on that email, so I don't
No.
think I have
Were
it.
they not in that?
I don't know who got it.
I didn't see that one. I did
didn't
see
see
the
that.
one from the National Grid thing.
Right, I forwarded
I
that
thought
one.
we were talking about the national grid on the 19th. So you have something
I
different
didn't see
than
a
us.
national grid on the 19th.
I forwarded an email from Nate yesterday about National Grid and the,
Phase 3.
Phase 3 piping. There's no update. It's still with National Grid. They're exploring Phase 1 options.
And they'll know more at the end of the next week, they
Yeah.
think.
Yeah,
That
this
was
is
that.
July 19th, they should know more.
What's your update?
Yeah, what's your update on this?
Well, on the electricity, I was gonna talk to Nate, say, why don't we just hire an electrician to come in here and find the 3-phase? Because there's 3-phase in that school building. And extending it is a lot easier than bringing something in off the road.
So you're gonna ask him about that?
Yeah, on the foundation, and I went and checked all these splits, they're all single phase on the outside of this building. But that's, might be immaterial.
Well, I think that's what Nate was saying, was that the contractors are exploring single-phase options, and they'll know more at the
It
end
would
of next week
require
on
more
that.
of them.
Yes.
The big one is a 3-phase deal, it's about 12 horsepower.
I don't think we should go with something that's like, maybe, will that last? You know what I mean? Like, we don't wanna go
It
with
means
something
more
just because we can
units.
do it.
Yeah.
We wanna go for the best thing, to make
Yeah.
sure it would be,
Which would be 3-phase.
okay,
It uses the electricity a little more efficiently as well.
okay.
And he's written a quick spec. I'm gonna give it back to him with, as I said, the list of all the local contractors, hoping we get some Gardner Barry type local people that will work with us instead of somebody from Connecticut. No offense against the people from Connecticut, but it's just easier to work.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we are going to go into executive session to
Yes.
discuss the scholarship applications. This is pursuant to GL 30A, Section 20B, 940. Because we're going to be discussing details about people that are not in relation to their position. In order to go into executive session, I have to do a verbal roll call vote. You have to have majority to go into it. So, Krista,
Yes.
you go to, okay, Tom?
Robinson, yes?
Tom Robinson, Morgan?
Morgan, yes.
Connie, me. Okay, so we are formally going to go into executive session.